Okay, this is the watch list for Monday, which would be December 21st. Keep in mind, it's a holiday week, so lower volume, trade smaller, probably sit out the afternoons this week, in my opinion. All right, so this is the SPY real quick. It's fallen like $8 in 2 sessions. That's a big 2-day move, big volume on Friday. I half expect the market to bounce after that big 2-day sell-off, but I don't make a living predicting what the SPY is going to do. I just find intraday trades, which reminds me, let me pause this for a minute. All right, I wanted to throw my, a disclaimer might not be the right word. It's just an explanation of how I trade. And just so when you're watching this watch list, know that these are not investment ideas at all. I'm trying to find stocks, chart setups that could give me a good trade tomorrow. Okay, so I'm always just thinking for the next day because I go to cash every night. So that's what's on my mind when I build a watch list. All right, you can pause this video if you need to and read the rest of that. I'm going to get that out of the way. All right, and so starting the watch list with Disney, I'll tell you what, there was a downgrade to sell on Disney the day of what's going to be the biggest box office record-setting movie ever comes out. It came out on Friday, and in my opinion, I might eat these words later, but some clown downgraded it on that day because of ESPN. And all I could think of is all weekend long, that's all you're going to hear is about the Star Wars records being broken and so on. And so that seemed like a horrible timing on the downgrade. And if I was a swing trader, when it fell this far, this quickly, especially with that downgrade's help to take out the lows from about a week ago, I would have been buying down here, maybe even just to sell this week. I noticed in after hours it went up over 109. So, but anyway, I don't know about trading it on Monday. We'll see. We'll see how it acts in the morning. But it just did not seem like a timely downgrade. So I do want to have Disney on watch. All right. Pandora, the letter P, goes on bounce watch. I had a nice gap up on big volume on Thursday, sold off and sold off again. Maybe if it flushes below 14, I don't ever have an entry point in mind. When I make these videos, because I need to see what the market does at the open and then what this thing's doing. Or these stocks that I'm showing you are doing as well. So, but it's interesting to me for a potential bounce after the gap up in 2 big red days. All right, Apple. Apple broke the October. I think this was October. Let's see. That was. We've got to get used to these new charts. It looks like that was October 1st, the most recent low. If you look to the left after it broke down below Thursday's low. And then, sometimes I view like this as an anomaly. That was that August flush out, okay? So Apple's to kind of new recent lows, if you will, and it's just fallen from, 112 to 106 in just 2 sessions. That line there, if I pan out, actually, I'm not sure. Oh, that line was the October lows. I don't know if it'll just let me move this. I'm not used to these charts. No, it does, okay. Trying to switch over to TC2000 charts. It did bounce nicely off the 105 area back here and back here. Now that's going all the way back almost a year. All right. But if you count this as an anomaly, that 105 area is still interesting. Okay, especially after 2 down days in a row and a pretty good flush out. So I'm going to watch Apple for a bounce. Whenever the market gets really weak, I kind of default to Apple for my bounce plays because it gets really nice bounces when the market bounces. VLTC had this big pop back here, faded back down, then got a nice pop on Thursday, and kind of a quiet inside day on an ugly market. The market was down, like 350 points or something on Friday. Got my daily goal in the first hour and walked away. So worked out pretty well for me, but it ended up being kind of an ugly close, which is why I always say I just trade. I focus on the mornings, trade them, and I do have a New Year's resolution in the back of my brain, though, that I want to start trading more after I get my daily goal, but that sort of contradicts what I teach. But what I want to do is cut my position size way down and then keep trying the really, really nice setups. But what you need to do if you do, excuse me, if you do something like that, let's just say your daily goal is $1,000. That's what mine is. If you continue to trade ideas, position size smaller, right? Like I recommend. If you take 10% of your profits away, so in other words, if you're up 1,000 in the morning and then you keep trying to trade with smaller position, and all of a sudden you've given back 100. So in other words, 10% of your morning gains. Then you cut it off. So that allows you to keep trying things and maybe even have a better day. So that's one way to do it. But I'm still, to be honest with you, a big fan of taking my money and walking away. It's a good habit to get into. All right, anyway, VLTC had this nice pop on Thursday, kind of a quiet, very low volume day on Friday. Putting that one on Bounce Watch. Lumber Liquidators, LL, had this gap up, then a nice second day. Now gaps down and 2 days lower. I like to switch to 15-minute candles to show you that after the gap down, there was the early high, first thing in the morning, and then Friday, the early high right there, first thing in the morning, and it never broke it. Never broke it on Thursday, but it's putting in higher lows now. So I think LL might be worth watching for a push higher on Monday. We'll see. Again, only with the market and only with a proper intraday setup for LL. I wanted to have one energy play, one oil-related stock on watch, and CLR is a pretty good one because it's just 3 days on big volume. Well, really, you could almost say 6 days with this little blip here, straight down on good volume and testing those August lows, right? That's a good candidate, especially if energy bounces at all. I like CLR coming this far, this fast to those August lows. That's one of my favorites for a bounce play. If the oil numbers or oil stocks bounce, GoPro really kind of pushing on this $20. And if I switch to, let's go to 15-minute candles, you can see, remember how weak the market was at the close on Friday? Look how strong GoPro was. So it's certainly interesting over these recent highs. Let me show you the hourly chart there. And after this little push here, $20 became support, it lost it, and now it's kind of pushing on it from underneath. Nice volume, nice relative strength on Friday. So looking for a push higher maybe on GoPro one of these days, maybe tomorrow. Okay. Couple more. DDD, again, speaking of relative strength, nice relative strength. This one is flirting with, let me double check, make sure I don't misspeak. Yeah, it broke through 10 on nice volume on Thursday, and it's really holding up pretty well. Let's switch to 15-minute candles again. Nice relative strength. What was Friday's high? Looks like it was like 10.57, I believe. So that's one area to watch over Friday's high, but I do like the strength, and it's holding up well for a couple days. And lastly, KTOV. Let me pan out now a little bit. I'm not sure why that won't go farther out. Again, I'm trying to get used to new charts. But anyway, you can see the gap up on KTOV last week. And then it's been pretty much closing lower every day, but a nice little kind of hammer candle almost, or it closed above its open, a little bottoming tail on Friday. So I'm looking for this one for a potential long. Switch to 15-minute candles. At least that'll let me pan out a little bit. It's nothing that compelling when I look at it in that light. But anyway, this is a decent, what was the high on Friday? 385. So I mean, it's the first area that interests me if it gets over that. Maybe a red to green before that, depending on how it trades. All right, so I like this one as a potential bounce. And I'm going to leave it at that. That's enough to watch. Plus, we will hopefully find some nice gappers in the morning as well. So enjoy the rest of your weekend, and we'll see you on Monday.